Hey guys, so welcome back. So for today's project, we're going to do some diagnostic work on the Chevy Cruze. So this is a 2013 Chevy Cruze Eco 1.4 turbo automatic 6-speed. So the car has a little over 80,000 miles on it, and I've noticed over the last couple weeks, especially when it's been getting hotter, especially on the highway, when the essentially you're going up a hill and it's downshifting from sixth to fifth, and there's any type of load on a car, it's almost like the car is stumbling or it's coughing, or you can actually feel it jerking. Originally I thought there was some maybe going on with the transmission, and I wasn't quite sure, but what happened the other day is I actually got a blinking check engine light, and when I looked up the reasons for a check engine light, it pointed to that there was a misfire going on in the car. So I believe that is actually what's going on. So I just came back from from work. Roughly, it's a 37-mile commute, and I was able to get it to register a blinking check engine light and to set a code. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a code scanner to go into the ECU and show you some of the data that's coming out of the car to actually pinpoint what the actual issue with the car. So before we do that, when we go to the bench, I'll show you what we're going to be using to diagnose this condition. So let's go to the bench. Alright, so this is what we're going to be using for the diagnostic work. It's a Cen-Tech code scanner. I picked this up at Harbor Freight. This is the professional series one. It retails for $100 at Harbor Freight. If you have a 20% coupon, you can get it for under $80. I believe the part number on it is 60694. But if you look on Harbor Freight, you'll see it. It's like $99. But don't buy it without the coupon. It'll save you $20. So what's nice about this scanner is it actually allows you to go into and actually do real-time system monitoring on it. It'll show you live data. It'll show you, cooling temperature, catalyst temperature, throttle position sensor, intake air temperature. It'll show you misfire data on all the cylinders and everything else. And that feature is what we're going to be using to diagnose exactly what is wrong with the car. So that being said, why don't we go bring this into the car, we'll hook it up, and we'll start looking at the data that's coming out of it. Alright, so we're in the car, and the code scanner is hooked up to the car. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go and do ODB2 EOBD data. It's going to communicate to the car. Alright, so this is just a general status page, and if you look, the yellow triangle is lit, stating that there is something wrong or there is a pending code. We're going to say no to the erasing the data for now. So what we're going to do is, these are the three different modules that the car is reporting back to the scanner. So what we're going to do is, I believe it's the first one, so we're going to just hit OK. It's going to go into this module, and then we're going to read this code, see if there's any stored codes. We hit OK. We hit pending codes. Alright, so there is the code. Right, it's a P0304, and it's cylinder 4 misfire detected. So even though there isn't a check engine light that's registered, basically that the ECU detected a misfire on cylinder number 4. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit escape, and what we're going to do is we're going to go back, and we're going to go back to onboard monitor test. So what we're going to do is we can then get into the actual data of the car, as far as it'll give you some specifics as far as which one misfired. Right? So we're going to go down, going to go to Chevrolet, and if we go down to the bottom of the list, it's going to say misfire on cylinder 1 through number 4. So we'll just show you number 1, which is a theoretically it should be good. So misfire on counts on cylinder number 1. There was 3, right? So we hit escape, and this is just on the last driving cycle, and which was about 37 miles. We're gonna go to number 2. Gonna go down misfire on the last driving cycle. 21, right? Escape again. Number 3. Misfire counts for last driving cycle. Number 2. We got 2 there, and then we're gonna escape again, and we're gonna go down to number 4, and this is where we're gonna see the large one. I believe it was like 163. Yeah, 173. So that pretty much confirms that I have a misfire condition on cylinder number 4. Either the plug is bad or the coil pack is going bad. And the reason why we're seeing a misfire on the other 3 cylinders is, I believe it because cylinder 4 has the main misfire. It's affecting cylinder 1, 2, and 3 because it's causing some other symptoms because number 4 is misfiring so bad. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and remove the coil pack, pull the plugs out, change the plugs, and go from there. That'll be the next step. Alright, so changing the plugs in the Chevy Cruze is pretty straightforward. All we have to do is essentially remove the engine cover that's going over the coil pack. So we're going to do that now. Just take a flat screwdriver, and what we're going to do is we're going to pop it up, and then it rotates back, and it comes right out. So next, the coil pack is held on by 2 torque set screws. We're going to take those out next. These shouldn't be that tight. These should come out pretty easily. Go back to the next one. Okay, so the biggest challenge with getting the coil pack off is if it's never been removed before. Sometimes the boots like to stick to the plugs. So one recommendation that you can do is if you're going to do this, make sure the engine is stone cold, because what will happen is if you try to change the plugs while it's warm, it's gonna really make it stick that much more. So all we're gonna do is we're just gonna lift up on the coil pack. So again, this car has about 80,000 miles. As far as I know, the coil pack has only been off once, and I pulled it off when I first got the car to regap the plugs. And to the best of my knowledge, it's never been off. So we'll see on how well this comes off. It might be easy, it might be not. So let's give it a shot. So what we're going to do is we're just going to grab it in the center, kind of rock it back and forth, and we got lucky. Alright, so we're just going to lay that there, and what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to change the camera angle so you can see the plugs in the head. But if you're wondering about the firing order or the cylinder layout, basically this is the left hand side of the engine, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So according to the data on the code scanner, the cylinder that we should be having issues is with number 4, but we're going to change all of them at the same time. So why don't we go ahead and change the camera angle, and we'll start pulling the plugs out. Alright, so this is a little bit better view for you as far as what you can be looking at. Those are the spark plugs way down in the bottom of the head. So what you're going to need is you're going to need a spark plug wrench and an extension to pop those out. So why don't we go ahead and grab those now and start popping them out. Alright, so what you're going to be using is just a standard 5/8 spark plug socket. And what makes it a spark plug socket, so if you take a look at it, here it is right here. If you look inside the socket, there's a rubber boot. or rubber, whatever you want to call it. But essentially that goes around the electrode of the spark plug. So when the spark plug is loose in the cylinder, the electrode gets locked into that rubber boot, and then it will actually pop out without falling back into the plug hole. So why don't we go ahead and attach that to our socket in our extension. We're going to take them out. So there's the first one right there. What we'll do is we'll just put them up there. Looks like whoever put these in at the factory did use anti-seize on them, which is why they're going to come out pretty nicely. Number 2 wasn't even tight. It's kind of odd. So there's number 2. Like I said, number 2 wasn't even tight. It was just in there. Feels like it was in there by hand. Here's number 3. Here's number 3. So the final one's gonna be number 4, and supposedly that is the one that we're having an issue with. Here comes number 4. Alright, so here's number 4. On the surface, looks okay, but it's kind of hard to tell when a spark plug is actually bad. Doesn't look fouled or anything like that. So, but you know what? We're gonna go ahead and change them anyway. So let's go back to the bench and show you what we're gonna change them with. All right, so this is what we're gonna be replacing the original NGKs with. These are a AC Delco Iridium spark plug. According to everything I can look up on, it seems like GM switched from NGK back to AC Delco, or they use NGK and AC Delco at some point during the run of these cars and this engine. So you may find a spec for NGK or AC Delco. But the part number for the AC Delco is 41-121, and again, it is an Iridium plug. So, you know, there is a huge debate as far as if you go on Cruze Talk or the Cruze forums as far as what they need to be gapped at. I think GM originally, the gaps ranged anywhere from 30 to 35 thousandths to 37. From the factory, they're all over the place. And I know there's a big debate on this, on where they should actually be gapped as far as best performance and everything else. And It seems like the happy medium is anywhere between 26 and 30 thousandths. Right now, I just checked all these with a feeler gauge and another spark plug gauge, and they're right around 27, 28 thousandths, so they're perfect right where they are right out of the box. But before you ever put these in, you always want to check the gap, make sure that they are actually what they're supposed to be when they left the manufacturing facility from AC Delco. Sometimes they do get bounced around in the box. The gap may close slightly, so you always want to check that out. So a couple of things you want to do before you put the plugs in to make this easier the next time you go to change the plugs is you want to put some anti-seize on the threads of the plug. Not a lot, just putting a light coating on it. And then put some dielectric grease on the porcelain section of the plugs. And again, that's going to assist you when you go to pull the coil pack off the plugs, because with the dielectric grease, it'll act as a release agent, and the coil pack boots should come right off the plugs. Again, you're not putting a lot, you're just putting a light coating on it, so to ease and removal. So while we go ahead and do that now, we're going to prep the plugs, and then we're going to go ahead and put them back in and fire it back up and see where we're at. Alright guys, so now we're ready to put the plugs back in. So obviously, we got our anti-seize on there, the plug is loaded into the socket, and it goes without being said, once you put the anti-seize and the dielectric grease on the porcelain insulator, make sure you're not touching the electrodes and getting any type of stuff on that. So we're going to load it up, and this is why you want to have a spark plug wrench, so when you're actually going to have the cylinder head, you don't drop it and hit the electrode on the head. So we're going to go in there nice and easy. Drop it down, and you're just going to start slowly threading it in. Make sure you're not forcing it in, so you're not cross-threading it. Alright, so that's the first one. We're not going to worry about torquing them down right now. We're just going to get everything loaded in. Again, making sure we're not making contact with the electrodes, and we're not getting anything dirty or anything like that. This is one of those jobs where attention to detail is very critical. You really don't want to go and rush through this. Take your time. It is a fairly straightforward and simple job, but do take your time. Make sure you're doing it right. So there's the second one. Third one is loaded up. Again, going into the cylinder hole nice and easy. Started. Alright, so that's snug. And here comes number 4. Alright, so that's tight. So now, what we want to do now is essentially we want to torque them down. And again, these are steel spark plugs going into an aluminum head. All we're really doing is looking to make them snug. We're not looking to hold down the world with these things. So essentially, right, so there's 12 o'clock, right, where the wrench is, or where the ratchet is. And all we're gonna do is we're just gonna go to about 2 o'clock right there, and that's done. So there's roughly 12 o'clock, and that one's still a little bit way to go. Alright, so that's good. So that was number 2. That's one that wasn't even tight. There's 12 o'clock. There's 2. There's 12 o'clock. It's 12 o'clock. There's 2. Roughly 2 o'clock. Alright, so that's it. That's all you really need to do as far as tightening them down. Again, all you're really looking to do is, there's a washer underneath the plug, and what we're doing is we're looking to seat the washer against the cylinder head and provide enough torque so it doesn't back out. So essentially, that's all we have to do to torque them down. We're going to put the coil pack on, we'll start it back up, take it for a ride, and we'll see how it goes. Alright, so I just came back from the test drive, and I'm happy to say that the Misfire is gone. I drove it for a good half an hour, 45 minutes. On the highway, surface streets, and I basically drove it like I normally do, and tried to recreate the condition where going from like 45, 50 and loading up the engine, going onto an incline, trying to get it to recreate the condition, or the and happy to say no issues. It seems like the misfire has completely gone away. So why don't we go into the scan tool and go ahead and look at the misfire counts on the 4 cylinders and see what we got. Alright, so we're going to go into module like we did before. Going to go down to monitor test. Down to Chevrolet. And cylinder 1 data. Misfire count. That's 0. Escape. 2. That came up as 2, so I'm not sure if that's normal or not. Well, I'm gonna keep an eye on it, but I certainly didn't feel anything, and it's so let's see what's on cylinder number 3. Cylinder number 3 came up clean, and I'm gonna go to the problem child, which was number 4, and 4 came back as 0. So, like I said, looks like we fixed this problem with not that much money. The plugs, they were around $37, $38. And then the cost of the scan tool, that was roughly 70 bucks. So we'll just call it $100 just for the sake of easy math. So not bad. And now that we spent the money on the tool, we can use this to diagnose other conditions. So in essence, it's already paid off for itself. So, because if we were to bring it to a dealer, I can guarantee you the cost of this tool wouldn't even cover the cost of the diagnostic fee. So it looks like we were successful in this. If you like what you saw, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. If you like the video, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. If there's any questions, comments, concerns, go ahead and leave them in the comments box below. I will do my best to get back to you as soon as I can. As always, have a great day, and I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks. See ya.